There is AI on Kickstarter now. This is the thread in question posted by Bookworm Panda to Bookthreads, and it reads, "The rationalizing and attempt to validate Gen AI usage on a Kickstarter like this is wild to me, and an insult to real authors and artists. Kickstarter is becoming overrun with publishing projects full of AI slop, and I'm a bit dismayed when I see them promoted on updates from ones I've backed." For context, if you don't know Kickstarter, Kickstarter is a platform where people can raise money for their projects. So you post a project and then you post a goal amount of money you're trying to raise. Kickstarter is already a bit controversial because there's been a bunch of scams on Kickstarter in the past, and I've talked about one on my YouTube channel about a game called Puff Pals Island Skies where I got scammed because I backed a stupid game. I fell for it. And then now, I guess there is this person. So this is about a book. To add, Kickstarter has an AI policy that was introduced August 29th, 2023. This is posted in their blog. To be allowed on Kickstarter, if you use AI, you have to disclose it on your project page, including how you plan to use AI in the project and which elements will be original work and which will be created using AI. So in their AI usage section, it says, "AI is my paintbrush, not my shortcut." So this is the Kickstarter on a complete side note. The name of the book is Cookies and Claws, a sweet, queer, cozy, feel-good fantasy. Again, don't send hate to anybody, the author, the person who wrote the thread, etc. So they write, "AI is my paintbrush, not my shortcut. Cookies and Claws, and honestly my whole author business is pretty much a one-woman show, other than editing. I write the books, design the covers, create the art, run the Kickstarter, do fulfillment. All while working as a doctor and raising 3 kids. AI is one of the tools that makes it possible. So yes, I use AI for my art." On a complete side note, I have to add, I absolutely respect the author for hustling with kids and being a doctor and writing books on the side. She's got an entrepreneurial spirit. In the book community, Gen AI is frowned upon because artists and authors essentially are two sides of the same coin, right? Both are working in very creative crafts. Both are industries that typically don't make as much money, and you're constantly having people try to undermine you over and over again. And both are industries where AI is essentially taking it over, right? With authors and writers, people are now using ChatGPT instead of writing. And then for artists, people are using Gen AI to generate art instead of, hiring an actual artist to make it. So in the book space, a lot of authors are not happy with other authors that use Gen AI because it feels like a betrayal of your own people, right? Like, you are a creative, you out of all people should understand how AI is infiltrating our spaces for bad, and you still chose to then use it. In the same vein as when artists aren't happy with other artists who use AI. So the author continues, "No, it's not a push a button and done. Every single piece, like the cover, where each little item was generated separately, took multiple rounds of generation, selecting, tweaking, and heavy editing in Photoshop. The interior art, same deal. AI is a tool in my creative toolbox, just like Photoshop or my camera. It lets me create something beautiful that is what I envision in my head, while still putting hours and hours to make it exactly what I want. This book and this campaign has taken months to get to the point where it's ready for you." So this to me is a bit interesting because, okay, so they are photo bashing essentially AI together to get what they're looking for. That's like a valid technique that book cover designers do use without using AI. I don't know, right? Like, part of me is like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it sounds like you're putting in more time into this than just generating one prompt. It sounds like to create the cover was a bit time consuming. So at this point, you could learn to draw, you could learn to make a cover, you could also spend the money to hire an actual artist to go make a cover for you. You could learn the photo bashing techniques that cover artists use to make their covers and, using like open source stuff to do it. That's the part that's always very confusing to me. I use AI to save time, but it actually takes me the same amount of time, but I just chose to use AI, like, and yeah, there's plenty of artists who will make covers for you. That's why it's like, oh, maybe just we're trying to cut corners and save money. And the side by side before the raw image from Midjourney, after Dragon edited a lot, color correction, and a lot of detail added to get it what I imagined to be. I pay for my AI subscriptions like I pay for my other software, and I pour far more time, energy, and skill into my books than anyone who thinks, quote, AI means no effort, end quote, seems to imagine. At the end of the day, the words, the world, the characters, and the vision are 100% mine. I'm using every tool available to bring them to life in the most magical way possible." Interesting, because their argument is that, oh, I put a ton of time and love into this, so me using AI still means I put in effort. Then what's the point of using the AI, right? Like, most people use AI for the reason of it saves them time and it saves them money. It doesn't sound like it's saving them time because at least according to them, it's still a lot of time. So I guess it's to save money because you don't want to hire an actual artist then. AI has a lot of nuance. There's a lot of good that AI can do. AI has generated like 2.5 million protein sequences that made a massive advancement in science. This is not like a black or white AI bad, AI good. There's a lot of nuance. But speaking of this specific case where we have an author who is insisting that they put a lot of time and effort into their craft, I don't know. Basically, the general public sentiment from readers, and I'm a big reader. I just finished an audiobook today called Court of Shadow and Thorns. I completely agree with you, Moon. I don't think AI has justifiable space in all forms of art. And I do think it can be used for good. Not in art. Use it somewhere else. That's why this is just a bit confusing. Basically, like, all of the art seems to be generated. Don't get me wrong, the story sounds really cute. Like, Theo just wanted to bake. Fate had other ideas. I just think it's interesting because they label it beautiful chapter art, map drawn by the author. So if the map was drawn by you, like drawn and not generated and then edited, right? If you drew the map, then you can draw, right? In my opinion, it's even worse if you can draw and you just chose not
Hi,
to.
cat.
And if you go to the author's other works, they have this other series called The Hidden Scepter Found Family Sweet Sapphic YA Fantasy. And AI was used for this as well. Use of AI. I plan to use AI generated content in my project. I'm a proud AI assisted author. I use AI in the form of Midjourney for all the images in both the campaign and in the book. Some images have minimal editing in Photoshop, others extensive. Covers are all AI assisted or generated, being mashups of a lot of generated content from Midjourney, then heavily edited in Photoshop. As for the text, it is mine. The series was written before AI, though I have used Pro Writing Aid for the editing of the story. The songs have been created with the help of Suno. Well, she has to disclose it. It would be against Kickstarter's policies to not disclose your AI usage as of 2023. Readers are always very skeptical if authors used AI in their processes typically, because then people will question the authenticity of the content in the book. And then what's funny is the next step after that happens, the author starts getting really defensive about the writing, being like, I never used AI for the writing is all mine. How dare you accuse me of using AI in the writing? And it's like, oh, that's funny. But going back to the original thread written by Bookworm Panda, Panda adds, well, hi everyone. This post kind of blew up overnight while I was sleeping. For those who don't know about me but want to stick around, I am very anti-AI in all creative and generative forms and pretty vocal about it. I love reading romance, have 2 dogs, a rescue mix, and a Sheltie. I'm also currently addicted to Baldur's Gate 3. And let's see what some commenters had to say because they're pretty funny. This commenter Carmen writes, maybe I'm blind, but the only difference in the before and after I see is the color change and the dragon being more detailed. Quote, hours and hours to make it, end quote. Well, if that takes you hours, imagine how much more time an actual artist would need to create something like the first image. I hate it here. Another commenter adds, there's a tool called AI Piss Filter because AI tends to make things yellow due to its self-replication. They literally didn't do anything. They created the AI art, then used that filter. They have to pay for both, by the way. And then another commenter adds this tweet that says, you don't understand. As someone who isn't inherently good at art, stealing paintings from the museum is the only way I'm able to express myself creatively. I wouldn't be able to paint beautiful portraits, but by breaking into a museum and stealing the paintings, now I am. This is so funny. This commenter says, something that really baffles me about AI users is the paradox of how they talk about it. It's, quote, easy to use and time-saving, end quote, while also, quote, has a steep learning curve and requires multiple hours of generation, end quote. I call this Schrodinger's difficulty. And other commenters are on the side of the AI, with this commenter saying, honestly, I greatly appreciate their transparency with AI use. With any case of creative mediums like writing, whatever, I always appreciate if the person is at least transparent about their AI use. You also legally, according to Kickstarter, have to do it. So it wasn't kind of like a disclose the free will by choice. You know what I mean? But maybe it was, right? Using AI may be the only way to get her vision done. Life is busy. If you can identify a Kickstarter that does not disclose AI use while using AI, that's more worth posting about and calling out. I would also add, if there's the life is busy argument, the next solution is to pay somebody to do your labor. You know, like life is busy, so I hire an editor because I myself don't have enough time to edit all my YouTube videos, right? So if you're a busy author who's a doctor with kids, if you have a doctor, you also got good money too, possibly, right? Then you could hire someone to make the art. Like, to use the AI is a choice. Maybe the author feels like they have no resources or no means besides generating it with AI. Like maybe they have like this strong need of control. A lot of creatives do have this where they feel like they don't want anybody else touching their creative work, even if it comes to hiring an artist to try to bring your vision to life. So by using Gen AI like Midjourney or another similar software, they can type in the prompt over and over and over again to generate 10,000 different variations to then pick the one that they like. So the entire process is done by them, if that makes sense. Like all the art is done by them, all the writing is done by them, all the editing is done by them slash the AI software they use to edit. So everything is done by them in that sense. And the computer. Just a thought. And another commenter adds, I'm suddenly wondering something as I never released anything, so I have no idea. How much might it cost to commission a cover? Like if you have a really low budget, but you're not setting the bar unreasonably high for that, what might the number be that these people say is too much? And Bookworm adds, I've seen pre-made covers in the low hundreds, like $200, and there will be sales for pre-made covers under $100. And I have gotten quotes for multi-character artwork covers from $500 to $1,700 plus. It depends on how detailed, how many people, what their fees are for commercial use, etc. But you can also make a cover in Canva and not resort to AI. My final theory about this, there are a lot of authors who will just write a lot of books in the hopes that one of them hits, essentially. Many of these authors also do it for the love of the game. They love writing these stories exist like nonstop in their head and they just want to get it out onto the paper. This author has a whole bunch of series, right? They have the Elemental Saga, YA Sapphic Fantasy series, Story of Garradon, Special Edition Sweet Queer Fantasy series, this one-off book, Cookies and Claws. They also have this other one-off book, The Greenhouse Keeper's Guide. So they have a lot of series coming out, and this one looks like, in the photo at least, there's at least 4 books. This one's at least 3 books. This one was a singular book, this one was a singular book, and they're a doctor and they have kids, so they probably don't have a lot of time. So using AI will just allow them to crank books out so much faster so they can make more money. This is why you'll see a lot of authors write essentially the same book over and over and over again. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of these I eat it up, right? Ali Hazelwood, almost every single one of her books is like the same, like same story, different font, okay? And I love it. I eat it up. She's been branching out with a lot of different styles lately, but like her older books are all very similar, right? A lot of other authors like Anna Huang. Now, I do enjoy reading an Anna Huang book, but they are very, very similar in sort of like story series, and like the gist of it is very similar. You know, again, I eat it up. The more books an author makes, the more sales they can generate because they have more books. So yeah, Tessa Bailey is one of them, right? She cranks out so many books. Sorry, they said they're busy, so how come they have so many series? Yeah. So my tinfoil hat theory is that their main insistence on using AI is for speed because they can crank things out so much faster. Because if you work with an actual artist, it's going to be slower. You're going to go back and forth like, oh, can he make this dragon bigger? Can he change the color? Can he do this? Can he do that? It's a slower process. You can't crank books out that fast if you have to incorporate other humans into your process. So that's my little tinfoil hat theory, but I'm curious about y'all's thoughts. What are your thoughts on authors using AI if you yourself are somebody who enjoys reading? If you are, I would love to hear what book you are currently reading. I'm reading A Curse of Shadow and Thorns. Well, actually, no, I'm on the second book, A Court of Ice and Ash currently. So I got the audiobook for that one. But if you like this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. I have digital art there for streamers and creators. I also have a coffee with free resources like a free sponsorship guide, and I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. So I hope to catch you guys there. I'll be on vacation in Asia or in another one of my videos. Peace.